Poison in the Colony, Jamestown, 1622. Chapter 26. I want to like Mr. George Thorpe. I want to believe that it is from a good place in his heart that he is planning this college for the Indian children. I've heard that one of the boys who went to England with Pocahontas ended up living with Mr. Thorpe there, and he adopted him as his own son. He taught the boy to read. He read the Bible, became a Christian, and was baptized with the Christian name Georgius. When Georgius died of English disease, Mr. Thorpe paid to have him buried properly in a church graveyard. People are saying that now Mr. Thorpe wants to build this school in memory of Georgius, whom he loves so much. But why would he think that taking children away from their loving families is a good thing? Mr. Thorpe says that our ways are better than native ways and that their children should learn our ways. The children's parents don't agree, and Mr. Thorpe does not have a single student. But still, I have tried to understand him and like him. Then, one day, Mr. Thorpe does something that makes me hate him. Since no one is allowed to write back to England about how hungry we are sometimes here, and since the Virginia Company advertises that our colony has all the deer, fish, and fowl you can eat, it's no wonder some noblemen arrive with their great mastiff dogs in tow. The dogs are supposed to help with the hunting, and they do. But I think they easily eat more than they help, since they are the size of small horses. A lot of people don't like them because they say in winter, servants die of starvation, while the noblemen's dogs are well fed. We have two mastiffs that live near us in Jamestown Fort, Ulysses and Sheba. Catherine and Alice love them and always want to pet them, even though they have to reach up to pat these giants on the head. Ulysses and Sheba are gentle giants, unless they are provoked. It's a cloudy day, threatening rain. I am walking with Alice and Catherine, holding their hands, heading to the chicken coop to pick up our rations of eggs. The girls spy Sheba and Ulysses and ask if they can go pet them. But there is shouting and arguing. The dog's master is red-faced, sputtering. Another man is waving his arms and yelling something about an unfair price. People are gathered, watching. Some are settlers and some are natives who live among us. Suddenly, the angry man takes a menacing step forward. Sheba lowers her head and bares her teeth. Ulysses growls, ready to spring. The shouting man is suddenly still. Either of these dogs can kill him with a single bite to the neck. The man backs up slowly, terrified. My sisters have no sense. They just see the dogs and want to pet them now. They both wriggle their hands out of my grasp and go running, ducking between the onlookers. I rush after them, but people are in my way. I'm too late. I watch with horror as Alice reaches towards Ulysses and Catherine holds both hands up to Sheba. I scream, "No!" The next thing I see is Ulysses licking Alice's face. Sheba lifts a paw to shake hands with Catherine and knocks her over. Both girls are giggling. I am trembling when I get to them. I grasp them each by the arm and drag them away. Those dogs were angry, I tell them sternly. You can't play with them until they calm down. Alice gives me a pout. They're not angry, they're nice, she says. As people disperse to go about their business, I hear muttering about the bad dogs or the good dogs. Everybody has an opinion. It's 2 days later than that Mr. George Thorpe does the horrible thing. He hears that several of the native men who watched the incident are now afraid of Sheba and Ulysses. Mr. Thorpe is doing everything he can to convince the natives to send their children to his college. Does he really think that his next despicable act will sway anyone? Mr. Thorpe holds a public hanging. The criminals? Sheba and Ulysses. They are hung for no other crime than love for their master. Of course, we do not go to watch. Catherine and Alice are heartbroken enough when we tell them that Sheba and Ulysses have died and gone to heaven. And I hope that if Mr. Thorpe someday makes his way to heaven, that those two beautiful dogs bite him as soon as he arrives. I carry a basket on my back to pick blackberries, hoping to get there before the birds or the other settlers have eaten all the ripe ones. A thunderstorm has just swept through, and the air feels scrubbed clean and shiny with sunlight. I see the blackberry brambles from a distance. I also see that someone is already there picking. I hurry to get there more quickly, but when I am closer, I see that it is Samuel and Angela. I raise my hand ready to call out a greeting, but I stop. Samuel picks a berry, then leans in close to Angela and slips the berry into her mouth. She tips her head up and he kisses her lips. I wish I could feel happy watching them in love, but all I feel is sadness, knowing that they will never be allowed to marry. Samuel suddenly thinks to look around and sees me. So, we've been caught by the Jamestown Guard, have we? He calls out cheerily. I march down the path to them. My basket is swinging. When I get to them, all I can think to say is, I won't tell anyone. Oh, I don't think it's any big secret, Samuel says. Angela is flustered, embarrassed. I want to tell her it's all right, that I'm not judging her for being a married woman in love with someone else. How can she keep her heart closed when she knows she will never see her husband again? I should go, she says, and picks up her own basket, empty of berries. We'll help you fill your basket so you won't get into trouble, I say quickly, and take her basket from her. We begin to pick, silently at first, but I'm growing angrier by the second. Finally, I blurt out, "It's not fair." They both look at me. God makes rules, and men make rules. And when men make rules that make it impossible to follow God's rules, then who's to blame? I fix Angela with a stare. Not you, I point at her. But they will blame you. My voice catches in my throat. They will say that what you are doing is wrong. I turn to Samuel. And what if they say you have committed a crime? What if they decide to whip you or hang you? I wipe tears with my fist. Samuel puts his arms around me. I have a plan, he tells me. It will be all right, Jenny. I shake my head hard. There is no plan that can fix this, I say. She is married and someone's property, and no one will give you permission to marry. Angela quietly slips away. Samuel pulls me over to a fallen log and bids me to sit down with him. Just listen. Will you listen? He asks. I nod. Problem number 1. She is a slave belonging to Captain and Mrs. Pierce. I have land now. I can grow tobacco, ship it back to England for a profit, and earn the money to buy her. I purse my lips. I never thought of him actually buying her. I figure it will take me 2 years to earn enough to purchase her purchase price. Samuel continues, even if I have to go hungry, I'll skip the corn and plant every inch of my land in tobacco to make the most profit. I roll my eyes. You won't go hungry because my mother will feed you. Fair enough, he says. But you want to marry her, not own her, I say. She is married, and she's a Christian, so it's a Christian marriage. You'll never know if her husband dies, so she will never be free to marry again. What if she was not a Christian marriage? He asked. What if she was baptized after she was wed? John Rolfe was allowed to marry Pocahontas, even though she was already married, because her marriage to Kocoum did not count in the eyes of the church. Are you sure she was wed before she was baptized? I asked. Are you sure she wasn't? He asked. I blinked at him. Angela was kidnapped by the Portuguese slave traders, then stolen by English pirates, then sold. No one here knows anything about how her wedding ceremony was performed. It's a secret that will go with her to the grave, and that she can discuss with her maker when the time comes. I lift my face up to the sun. I like your plan, Samuel Collier, I say. I like it very much. Samuel must have confided his plan with some of his friends, who in turn told it to their friends, because soon Samuel and Angela are the topic of gossip all over the fort. People normally go silent when they see me or anyone from my family, but one day at the well, I find Cicely and her friend Esther. They ignore me and keep on gossiping. So he'll buy her and own her. How romantic, Cicely says. Esther makes a face. And what if they do marry? Cicely continues. Their children will be mongrels. I slam my water buckets on the ground, nearly breaking them. Cicely looks at me, startled. Then she goes back to calmly turning the crank on the wheel. What's the matter, Virginia? She says. Don't you like hearing the truth? What I want to do is punch her. Instead, my mind flashes back to my fight with Charles and my talk with Samuel. I take a deep breath. In my mind's eye, I see myself pulling up a bucket of water and tossing it over the head of my fire-breathing dragon Anger. Only then do I speak. I heard you are betrothed, are you not? I take a deep breath. In my mind's eye, I see myself pulling up a bucket of water and tossing it over the head of my fire-breathing dragon Anger. Only then do I speak. I heard you are betrothed, are you not, Cicely? I ask sweetly. Yes, to William, she says. You wouldn't want him to think you're still pining away after Samuel, would you? I mean, if someone told William how much you still talk about Samuel, that might make him angry, don't you think? Cicely's face turns its signature bright red. She snatches her bucket off the hook. I am not jealous, you little wench, she snaps. I usually see William at the tar pits when I visit my friend Bermuda, I say. She narrows her eyes at me. Don't you dare say a word to him. Maybe you should talk less if you don't want your words to reach William, I say. I hook one of my buckets to the rope and let it down into the well. I hum and focus on my work. Come on, let's go, Cicely says. She pulls on Esther's arm. I haven't fetched my water yet, Esther objects, but Cicely drags her away. I hum louder, one of the Irish tunes the musicians play, as I crank up my full bucket of